The ring that wasn't meant to be found. By February in Chicago, winter had a way of making everything feel temporary. Footprints in slush, breath in the air, promises people made just to survive the cold. Propose Day landed on a Thursday that year, gray and biting, the kind of day where even love felt like it needed gloves. Ethan Cross didn't believe in signs. He believed in preparation. That was why the ring sat in his coat pocket as he stood on the elevated platform at Belmont Station, fingers numb, heart steady. He checked his phone, 7:18 a.m. Same time every morning, same train, same coffee shop after, same woman. Lena Morrison wasn't late, she never was, but she was distracted. Ethan noticed it immediately. He always did. She climbed the stairs 2 at a time, hair tucked into a wool hat she'd stolen from him years ago and never returned. Her eyes scanned the platform, sharp, alert, like she was looking for someone who wasn't him. That part was new. "Morning," Ethan said, leaning in to kiss her cheek. She flinched, not dramatically, just enough. "Sorry," she said too quickly, "didn't sleep." He studied her face. No makeup, faint shadows under her eyes. Lena was a journalist, investigative, the kind who chased stories until they either broke or broke her. Sleepless nights were normal. The tension in her jaw wasn't. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah, just work stuff." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. The train roared in, metal screaming against metal. As they stepped inside, Ethan's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "You don't know her as well as you think." He frowned, thumb hovering over the screen. "What?" Lena asked. "Nothing," he said, sliding the phone away. Probably spam or a wrong number. Chicago was full of ghosts texting the wrong people. But the weight in his pocket suddenly felt heavier. They worked 3 blocks apart downtown, but never walked together in the mornings. It was an unspoken rule, professional independence, Lena had called it when they first started dating. Ethan respected it. Today, she broke it. "Walk me?" she asked as they exited the station. "Of course." The city smelled like wet concrete and roasted coffee beans. Sirens echoed in the distance. Normal, safe. But Lena kept glancing over her shoulder. "You sure you're okay?" Ethan pressed. She stopped abruptly near a newsstand, breath fogging the air. "Ethan, if I asked you something, would you promise to be honest?" His heart skipped. This wasn't how he'd imagined today starting. "Always." She searched his face like she was memorizing it, then shook her head. "Never mind, forget it." Before he could respond, she leaned in, kissed him harder than usual, and walked away. Ethan stood there stunned, watching her disappear into the crowd. His phone buzzed again. Propose Day is a bad day for secrets. This time there was a photo attached. He opened it. His stomach dropped. It was Lena, not recent. Her hair was shorter. She was standing outside a courthouse. Her arm was looped through another man's. The timestamp read February 14th, 5 years ago. Ethan had met Lena 4 years ago. He spent the morning staring at code without seeing it. Ethan was a systems analyst, patterns, logic, predictability. That was his world. Lena lived in chaos, chasing truths that didn't want to be found. He admired that. Now it scared him. At 10:32 a.m., the unknown number texted again. "Meet me, 1 p.m., Cafe Lark, alone." He typed back, "Who is this?" 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Then, "Someone who knows what she's hiding." Ethan closed his laptop. The ring burned against his thigh. Cafe Lark was crowded with freelancers and students pretending to work. The smell of espresso and desperation hung thick in the air. Ethan chose a corner table back against the wall. At 1:04 p.m., a man sat across from him without asking. Early 40s, clean-shaven, expensive coat, eyes that missed nothing. "You're Ethan Cross," the man said. "You're the one texting me." "Yes." "Who are you?" The man smiled thinly. "Someone who used to work with Lena Morrison before she changed her name." Ethan's pulse spiked. Changed her name from what? The man slid a folder across the table. Inside were documents, IDs, articles. A headline jumped out. Whistleblower vanishes after federal investigation. The photo beneath it showed Lena, or someone who looked exactly like her. Different name, same eyes. She didn't vanish, Ethan said, voice low. She's right here. She's a journalist. She was a source, the man corrected, one who took something she shouldn't have. I laughed once sharp. You're lying. I wish I were. The man leaned in. She's in danger, Ethan, and so are you. Snow began falling outside, thick and fast. Ethan's phone buzzed again. This time it was Lena. Can we talk tonight, please? His fingers trembled as he typed back. About what? The reply came instantly. About the truth. Outside, police sirens wailed closer than before. Ethan looked at the ring box in his pocket. Tonight he was supposed to propose. Instead, he was about to find out who the woman he loved really was, and whether loving her would get him killed. The name she buried. Snow came down harder by dusk, thick flakes smothering Chicago in a silence that felt staged, too quiet, like the city was holding its breath. Ethan stood in their apartment doorway long after Lena texted she was on her way. He hadn't turned on a single light. Preparation, he reminded himself. That was how you survived surprises. His phone sat on the kitchen counter, face down. He hadn't replied to the last message from the unknown number. He hadn't told Lena about the cafe, the folder, the headline that had punched a hole clean through his sense of reality. He needed to hear it from her, whatever it was. The door lock clicked. Ethan, Lena called softly. He stepped out of the shadow. Hey. She startled, again, just enough to notice. She took off her coat slowly like she was buying time. Snow clung to the hem, melting on the hardwood floor. You didn't answer my text, she said. I was working. A lie, a small one, the kind that stacked. She nodded, eyes searching his face. We need to talk. I know. They stood there, the space between them suddenly unfamiliar, like furniture had been moved while he was gone. Lena took a breath. Before I say anything, I need to know something. Okay. Did anyone contact you today about me? There it was, clean, direct. Why? He asked. Her shoulders sagged just a little. So that's a yes. He exhaled. Someone texted me, sent a photo, then asked to meet. She closed her eyes. Lena, Claire, whatever your name is, start talking right now. Finally, she spoke. My name isn't Lena Morrison. The words landed softly and detonated anyway. My real name is Claire Hale. Ethan waited for the rest, for the punchline, the explanation that made this feel less like a free fall. None came. You could have told me, he said. I couldn't. Why? Because if I did, she said, voice breaking, you'd be in danger. He almost laughed at that. Almost. I met someone today, he said instead. He said you took something. Her head snapped up. You met him? So you know who he is. She paced the living room, hands twisting together. I hoped he wouldn't find you. I really did. Find me how? Through me. Ethan's chest tightened. Lena, Claire, whatever your name is, start talking right now. She stopped pacing, looked at him like she was memorizing him again, like this might be the last time she could. 5 years ago, she began, I was an analyst for a federal contractor. Data oversight, boring title, not boring work. What kind of work? Tracking financial flows between government agencies and private defense firms. She swallowed. Money disappears in places like that. You notice patterns. I noticed one that kept repeating. Ethan's mind raced, fitting pieces together. You blew the whistle. I tried to. She shook her head. Before I could go public, someone reached out, promised protection, new identity, safe exit. The article said you vanished. I did, on purpose. Her eyes glistened. But the data, I kept a copy. Ethan felt cold all over. You stole classified information. I kept evidence of crimes, she shot back. There's a difference. And now they want it back? Yes. And you don't have it? She hesitated. Ethan's voice dropped. You still have it. I split it, she said quickly. Encrypted fragments, spread out. No single piece means anything on its own. Where are they? She didn't answer. Ethan nodded slowly. That's why he contacted me, to get leverage. He won't hurt you, she said too fast. Don't lie to me. She flinched. He won't hurt you unless he has to. That was worse. They sat at opposite ends of the couch, like strangers waiting for a mediator. I was going to tell you, Lena, Claire said, tonight. Because it's propose day? Ethan asked bitterly. Her eyes filled. You were going to propose? He laughed this time, hollow. Guess I picked the wrong holiday. I love you, she said. That part was never fake. He wanted to believe her. God, he wanted to believe her. His phone buzzed on the counter. Unknown number. Tell her yet? Ethan stood. We're not safe here. What he gave her. They didn't speak until they were 3 miles away. Ethan drove like the streets might rearrange themselves if he slowed down, knuckles white on the steering wheel, eyes flicking to the rearview mirror every few seconds. Lena sat rigid in the passenger seat, arms wrapped around herself, staring straight ahead. Did he follow us? Ethan asked. No, she said. If he wanted to, we wouldn't make it past the first light. That didn't help. Snow smeared the windshield like static, the city blurring into gray shapes and red taillights. Finally, Ethan pulled over beneath an underpass, engine idling, concrete dripping above them. What did he mean? Ethan said quietly. Something close to my heart? Lena closed her eyes. Answer me. She took a shaky breath. I didn't want to tell you like this, but you were fine with him telling me? I didn't think he knew, she whispered. Ethan turned toward her fully. Know what, Lena? She reached into her coat pocket, fingers trembling, and pulled out a small velvet box. His stomach dropped. Don't, he said. Please don't do this. She opened it. Inside was the ring. His ring, the one he'd hidden in the back of his sock drawer 3 months earlier, the one he'd convinced himself she'd never find. How? He asked hoarsely. I wasn't snooping, she said quickly. I swear. I was packing last week, looking for my passport. It fell out. And you decided to, what, re-gift my own proposal? No, she said, tears spilling now. I decided to protect you. She reached inside the box, carefully lifting the ring. The diamond caught the weak light from the dashboard. I hollowed out the setting, she said. Microslot, shielded casing. Ethan stared at her, mind struggling to keep up. You put something inside it. Yes, the data fragment. The last one, she said, the one that proves intent, not just money trails, orders, names. He laughed, sharp and disbelieving. You hid classified evidence in my engagement ring? I hid it where no one would look, she said desperately, where no one would suspect, where I could keep it with me without ever seeming like I was guarding anything. With you, he said. She nodded. I never thought Daniel would figure it out. Ethan leaned back, staring up at the concrete ceiling. His heart pounded like it was trying to escape his chest. So let me get this straight. You fell in love with me and decided the safest place for evidence that could get us killed was literally something meant to bind us together forever. Her voice broke. I didn't plan to fall in love with you. Silence flooded the car. Did you ever consider, he asked quietly, that you didn't give me a choice? I know, she whispered, and I hate myself for it. They drove again, this time slower. Lena's backup place was a narrow brick townhouse on the south side, tucked between a closed laundromat and a church that smelled like old wood and incense. The windows were dark, no cameras, no neighbors who cared. Inside, the place was sparse but clean. A couch, a table, a mattress on the floor, the kind of place meant for waiting things out. Ethan locked the door behind them. Daniel won't push tonight, Lena said. He'll let the fear do the work. What happens tomorrow? Pressure. From who? She hesitated. From everyone. Ethan's phone buzzed. Unknown number. You should check the ring. It's very clever. Ethan didn't reply. Instead, he slid the ring back into the box and placed it on the table between them. That was supposed to be a promise, not a dead drop. I still meant it as a promise, she said softly. To what? Survival? To truth. Eventually. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. How many people know about this thing? Too many, admitted Lena, and not enough. He looked at her, really looked at her, the woman he loved, the woman who'd lied with every breath for 4 years, the woman who still reached for him in her sleep. Do you trust me? She asked. He swallowed. I don't know how to answer that anymore. Her eyes shone. Then let me earn it. How? Help me finish this. He laughed bitterly. You're asking me to choose between turning you in or going to war with people who are Rafe identities for breakfast. I'm asking you, she said, stepping closer, to choose us. His phone buzzed again. This time, a different number. Ethan Cross, this is Special Agent Mark Alvarez. We need to talk about Claire Hale. Ethan's chest tightened. A third text followed immediately. She's been lying to you. We can keep you safe. He looked at Lena. Who? She asked. The government, he said. Her face went pale. They found you. Or they found me, he replied. Outside, headlights swept briefly across the front windows, then disappeared. Ethan picked up the ring box. 3 paths lay in front of him now. Give the ring to Daniel and lose Lena, give Lena to the government and save himself, or keep the ring and burn everything down. And the worst part? Proposeday wasn't over yet. The choice that watches you sleep. The headlights came back. This time, they stopped. Ethan didn't move, neither did Lena. They stood in the dim living room of the townhouse, breathing shallow, listening to the low hum of an engine outside like a predator deciding whether to strike. Don't go to the window, Lena whispered. I wasn't planning to. Ethan's phone buzzed again in his hand, screen lighting his face. Agent Alvarez, we're outside. We just want to talk. Lena's eyes widened. They tracked you. I didn't answer, Ethan said. They don't need to. A knock came to the door, firm, controlled, law enforcement. Ethan Cross, federal agents, you're not in trouble. Ethan almost laughed. Almost. He looked at Lena. If I open that door, they take me, she said quietly, and the ring. And if I don't, then Daniel escalates. Another knock, louder. Sir, open the door. Ethan thought of every calm, normal moment that had led to this. Sunday mornings, shared coffee mugs, the way she always stole his hoodies. None of it felt fake. None of it felt safe anymore. He slipped the ring box into his pocket. I need to hear this, he said. Lena grabbed his arm. Ethan! I won't give you up, he said softly, but I won't run blind either. He opened the door. 2 agents stood outside, 1 man, 1 woman, jackets unzipped just enough to show badges. The man stepped forward. Mark Alvarez, this is Agent Kim. His eyes flicked past Ethan, landing on Lena. Claire Hale, he said, not a question. She didn't answer. We're not here to arrest anyone, Alvarez said smoothly. We're here to prevent a very bad outcome. By taking her, Ethan said. By protecting you, Alvarez corrected. She's in the middle of something far bigger than she ever told you. Lena laughed bitterly. You mean the part where your agency let corporations launder billions through black budgets? Agent Kim's jaw tightened. Alvarez raised a hand. That's not why we're here. Then why? Ethan asked. He met Ethan's eyes. Because Daniel Price isn't just a fixer. He's freelance. He sells information to the highest bidder, including foreign actors. If he gets that data, people die. Ethan's grip tightened on the doorframe. "So you want it." "We want it secured," Alvarez said, "and we want Claire in protective custody." Lena shook her head. "You can't protect me." "We can," Kim said, "but only if you cooperate." Ethan felt the ring box burn in his pocket. Alvarez glanced down. "Is it on you right now?" Ethan's heart stuttered. Lena looked at him sharply. "Ethan," Alvarez said gently, "whatever she's holding, it's not worth your life." Ethan took a step back. "You don't get to decide that." Alvarez sighed. "Then Daniel will." The agents left 20 minutes later. No handcuffs, no threats, just business cards and promises that sounded like ultimatums. As soon as the door closed, Lena collapsed on the couch, burying her face in her hands. "I told you," she said, "everyone comes eventually." Ethan stood there, staring at the door, heart pounding. "They didn't force it," she said. "They don't need to." Her phone buzzed again. "Daniel, you see, you're surrounded by helpful people." Ethan typed back immediately, before he could stop himself. "What do you want?" The reply came instantly. "A meeting, midnight, Navy Pier. Bring the ring, come alone." Lena looked up as Ethan's phone vibrated again. "What is it?" "Daniel," he said. "He wants to meet." Her face drained of color. "Don't!" "Midnight, Navy Pier." "No," she said, standing, gripping his arm. "That's a trap." "They're all traps," Ethan said quietly. "If you go alone, he'll kill you." "If I don't," Ethan, "when everyone wants forever." "Hands where I can see them," Agent Alvarez said, voice steady, weapon trained on Daniel. Daniel lifted his hands slowly, palms open, smile returning like it had never left. "Relax. If I wanted fireworks, I'd have scheduled them." The wind off Lake Michigan cut straight through Ethan's coat. His heart hammered so loud he was sure everyone could hear it. "Step away from the railing," Kim ordered. Daniel complied, boots crunching on icy concrete. His eyes never left Ethan. "Tell him," Daniel said casually. "Tell him why this is messy." Alvarez didn't respond. Ethan's voice came out rough. "Why don't you?" Daniel's smile thinned. "Because that ring, it's not just evidence, it's insurance." Ethan's stomach tightened. Insurance for who? "For everyone who doesn't want the full truth released," Daniel said. "If that data goes public, markets panic, allies get awkward, wars start early." Alvarez snapped. "That's not your call." Daniel shrugged. "It's not yours either." Kim stepped closer to Ethan. "Sir, slowly hand over the ring." Ethan shook his head. "I don't even know what happens if I do." Alvarez's eyes flicked to him. "What happens is you walk away alive. For a while." Ethan exhaled, breath fogging the air. "You all keep talking like I'm a delivery service." Daniel leaned in. "You're more than that. You're the only one everyone trusts just enough." That hit too close. A gust of wind howled across the pier, rattling metal railings. Somewhere, a security guard's radio crackled. Ethan thought of Lena alone in that townhouse, waiting, trusting him. "What if I don't give it to either of you?" Ethan asked. Alvarez stiffened. "That's not an option." Daniel smiled wider. "Oh, it absolutely is. It's just the most dangerous one." Ethan reached into his coat, slowly. Every weapon on the pier tracked his movement. "I'm taking the ring out," he said. "Nobody moves." The velvet box emerged, small and absurd in his gloved hand. Daniel's eyes gleamed. Alvarez swallowed. "Ethan." Ethan flipped the box open. The diamond caught the pure lights, glittering innocently. "This," Ethan said, "was supposed to be about asking someone to spend their life with me." No one spoke. He reached in and removed the ring. "Don't!" Lena's voice shouted from behind. Everyone spun. She stood 20 yards away, breathless, coat half-zipped, hair whipping in the wind. "Lena!" Ethan shouted. Daniel laughed outright. "I told you she'd come." Alvarez cursed under his breath. This just got worse. Lena walked closer, hands raised. "Ethan, please, give it to me." Alvarez snapped. "Ma'am, stop right there." She ignored him, her eyes locked onto Ethan. "I didn't trust them. I trusted you." Ethan's throat tightened. "You followed me? I couldn't let you face this alone." Daniel clapped slowly. Romantic, tragic, efficient. Kim moved to block Lena. "Ma'am?" Lena stopped. "That ring isn't just data." Ethan looked at her sharply. "What do you mean?" Her voice trembled. "It's a dead man's switch." Alvarez swore. "What kind?" "If it's forcibly removed or accessed without my biometric confirmation, the remaining fragments auto-release." Daniel's smile vanished for the first time. "To who?" Ethan asked. "To everyone," she said. "Media, NGOs, foreign watchdogs, no edits, no filters." The wind seemed to stop. Daniel exhaled slowly. "Claire, you didn't tell me that." She met his gaze. "That's because I don't trust you." Alvarez lowered his gun an inch. "You built a global leak trigger?" "I had to," she said. "It was the only leverage I had left." Daniel laughed once, sharp and humorless. "You just turned proposeday into judgment day." Ethan stared at the ring in his hand. "This means," he said slowly, "no one can take it from us." "Yes," Lena said, "but it also means we can never stop running." Alvarez stepped forward. "Or you come with us. We can contain the release." "You can't," Lena said. "Not fully." Daniel tilted his head. "So what's your play, Ethan?" All eyes turned to him. He felt the weight of the ring. Not gold, but consequence. Ethan closed the box and slipped the ring onto his finger. Lena gasped. Daniel went still. Alvarez's eyes widened. "What did you do?" Ethan took a breath. "I accepted the proposal." And somewhere deep inside the ring, something woke up. The promise had triggered everything. For one terrifying second, nothing happened. No alarms, no data dump, no sirens screaming across the lake. Then every phone on the pier buzzed at once. Daniel's, Alvarez's, Kim's, even Ethan's. Lena's breath hitched. "It shouldn't." Ethan looked at his screen. "Secure handshake confirmed. Secondary authorization accepted." Daniel's face drained of color. "You didn't just accept it," he said quietly. "You authenticated it." Ethan stared at the ring on his finger, suddenly aware of a faint warmth against his skin. "What does that mean?" Lena's eyes widened with dawning horror. The ring was coded to recognize intent, not just biometrics. Alvarez snapped, in English. Lena swallowed. "It needed a second person to willingly accept responsibility, someone I trusted enough to share the consequences." Daniel laughed shakily. "You turned proposeday into judgment day." Ethan's phone buzzed again. "Mirror node activated. Countdown initialized. 72.00.0000. 72 hours. Kim cursed softly. "What happens in 72 hours? Lena met Ethan's eyes. "Full release. Every fragment. Everywhere." Daniel took a step back. "That wasn't the deal." "There was never a deal," Lena said. Alvarez's voice sharpened. "You just triggered an irreversible process." Ethan's chest tightened. "Can it be stopped?" "Yes," Lena said, "but only one way." All eyes snapped at her. "We have to finish it," she said. "We have to put the truth where it belongs, on record, under oath." Daniel scoffed. "Congress, courts, you think they'll let that stand?" "They won't have a choice," Lena said. "If we testify publicly before the countdown ends, the system pauses. It gives them the truth without the chaos." "And if you don't," Kim asked, "then the world gets it all, raw." Alvarez exhaled slowly. "You just forced our hand." Ethan felt dizzy. "I didn't mean to start a clock." Lena reached for his hand. "I never meant to give you one." They moved fast. Unmarked SUVs, tinted windows, the pier vanished behind them like a bad dream. Ethan sat between Lena and Agent Kim, the ring warm against his finger like a living thing. Daniel was placed in a separate vehicle, still smiling faintly, like a man who enjoyed watching the board catch fire even when he lost. Alvarez leaned forward from the front passenger seat. "If you're lying about the countdown—" "I'm not," Lena said. "You'll see confirmation from your own systems within minutes." As if on cue, Kim's phone chimed. Her face tightened. "It's real!" Alvarez swore. 72 hours to arrange testimony, immunity, and media control. Daniel's voice floated from the other vehicle over the radio. "Good luck controlling a truth designed to escape." Ethan closed his eyes. Today, he worried about picking the right moment to propose. Now the world might change because he said yes. They arrived at a federal safe house just before dawn. Concrete, fluorescent lights, no windows, the kind of place designed to erase time. Lena sat at a metal table, fingers laced, eyes hollow with exhaustion. Ethan sat across from her. "Say it," he said quietly. "Say what?" "Say you'd take it back if you could." She didn't hesitate. "I would take back the danger, not the choice." He nodded. "I know what I said. I know." A guard entered. "Agent Alvarez wants to see you, both of you." In a nearby room, Alvarez stood before a screen filled with grass, timestamps, scrolling code. "You weren't exaggerating," he said. "This thing is already leaking breadcrumbs. Analysts are noticing." Ethan swallowed. "So what now?" Alvarez turned. "Now we make a deal with the truth." Kim crossed her arms. "Congressional hearing, emergency session, live." Daniel's voice came from the corner. He was cuffed, seated calmly. "I'd ask for popcorn, but I assume that's not allowed." Alvarez ignored him. "You two testify. Everything. Names, orders, intent." "And after?" Ethan asked. Alvarez met his eyes. "After, you don't get your old life back." Lena squeezed Ethan's hand. "We never were." A timer ticked down on the screen. 71.12.43. Daniel smiled. "Congratulations," he said softly. "You're engaged to history." Ethan looked at the ring on his finger. For the first time, it felt less like a weapon and more like a vow. The hearing before the storm. By the time the sun came up, the countdown was already under 70 hours. Ethan felt it everywhere, on the screens, in the guards' clipped voices, in the way Agent Alvarez stopped pretending this was under control. The truth was moving now, like a storm system no one could reroute, only track and brace for. They flew them to D.C. before breakfast. Private jet, no windows open, phones confiscated, then returned with new security shells installed. Ethan had never been on a plane this quiet. Even the engines felt muted, like they knew better than to interrupt. Lena sat beside him, hands folded in her lap, eyes fixed forward. "You okay?" he asked softly. She nodded once. "Ask me again after." "After what?" "After I say it all out loud." He understood. Some truths were heavier when shared. Across the aisle, Daniel watched them with idle curiosity, cuffs gone now, but guards close. He caught Ethan's eye and smiled. "You know," Daniel said conversationally, "most people don't change the world on proposeday." Ethan didn't look away. "Most people don't hijack engagement rings." Daniel chuckled. "Touché." The Capitol building looked unreal up close, white, solid, timeless, like it had never made a mistake. Inside, everything moved fast. Security badges slapped onto chests, lawyers whispered, staffers ran with folders like their lives depended on paper. They were ushered into a holding room behind the hearing chamber. A digital clock on the wall read 680419. Alvarez paced. Kim stood rigid near the door. "You get one shot. Once this starts, you can't take anything back." Lena nodded. "I know." Ethan squeezed her hand. "I'm here." She looked at him then, really looked. "You shouldn't be." He smiled faintly. "I proposed, remember?" Her eyes filled, but she blinked it away. A staffer opened the door. "They're ready." The chamber buzzed with low conversation, cameras adjusting, red lights flicking on. Ethan had seen hearings on TV before. None of them felt like this, from the inside, from the edge of a truth that didn't want to be told. They swore Lena in first. Her voice was steady. "My name is Claire Hale. I formerly worked as a data analyst for a federal contractor overseeing interagency defense funding." Murmurs rippled through the room. She didn't flinch. "I discovered repeated patterns of financial diversion tied to unauthorized operations. When I attempted to report this internally, I was advised to stop asking questions." A senator leaned forward. "By whom?" She named them, one by one. Ethan felt the room tighten with every word. When she finished, the chair turned to Ethan. "Mr. Cross, you are not a government employee. Why are you here?" Ethan swallowed. The ring felt heavy on his finger. "Because," he said, voice clear, "the truth didn't stay where you wanted it, and because the person you're questioning trusted me with her life." A pause. "And the evidence?" the chair asked. Ethan lifted his hand slightly. Camera zoomed. "It's right here." Gasps, whispers. A senator muttered, "You're kidding." Ethan wasn't. Midway through the hearing, phones began vibrating. Not in the room, outside it. Staffers whispered urgently to one another. A note was slid to the chair. He read it. His face went pale. "Mr. Cross, we're being informed that certain encrypted data sets are registering as live." Lena closed her eyes. Daniel smiled from the gallery. Ethan spoke before anyone else could. "That's the clock." The room erupted. "What clock?" "A safeguard," Ethan said. "If this process is interfered with, delayed, or buried, everything releases." A senator slammed his hand down. "You're threatening the United States government." "No," Ethan replied evenly. "We're reminding it how accountability works." Silence fell like a held breath. They broke for recess under chaos. In the hallway, Alvarez pulled Ethan aside. "You just made enemies," he said quietly. Ethan nodded. "I figured." "You also made allies," Kim added, joining them, "people who are tired of secrets." Across the aisle, Daniel was speaking to someone on a burner phone, guards pretending not to see. Lena noticed. "He's not done," she whispered. "No," Ethan agreed. "He's improvising." The clock ticked on. 641708. Daniel caught Ethan's eye from across the hall and mouthed two words. "Not enough." Ethan's stomach dropped. If Daniel was right, then the hearing was only the beginning, and whatever came next wouldn't happen under oath. It'd happen in the dark. The night between truths. The recess was supposed to last 15 minutes. It lasted an hour. By the time Ethan realized something was wrong, the hallway outside the chamber had gone quiet in a way that didn't feel procedural. Staffers were gone, cameras powered down, even the buzz of conversation had drained out like oxygen sucked from a room. Lena noticed it too. "This isn't normal," she whispered. Alvarez returned from a side corridor, jaw tight. "We're relocating." "To where?" Ethan asked. Alvarez didn't answer directly. "There's pressure, internal, the kind that doesn't put its name on memos." Daniel's laugh echoed softly behind them. "Told ya, not enough." Kim spun on him. "You orchestrated this." Daniel raised his hands cuffed. "I facilitated inevitability." Ethan glanced at the clock mounted above a security door. 610211. 3 days had shrunk into a single fragile window. They moved through underground corridors beneath the Capitol, service tunnels meant for utilities and emergencies, not history. The walls were concrete, the lighting harsh and unflattering. "Where exactly are we going?" Lena asked. Alvarez hesitated. "Another secure site." Daniel smirked. "Translation, somewhere without cameras." Ethan stopped walking. Everyone turned. "No," Ethan said, "we're not disappearing." Alvarez's voice hardened. "This is for your safety." "For whose safety?" Ethan shot back. "Because every time someone says that, the truth gets quieter." Lena stepped beside him. "If you move us off record, the countdown continues." Alvarez's eyes flicked to the ring. Kim exhaled. "He's right." A tense beat passed. Finally, Alvarez nodded. Fine, we go back up, but if this blows up, it already has, Ethan said. They emerged into a press holding area that had somehow filled itself while they were gone. Reporters, cameras, questions shouted like weapons. Claire Hale, is it true there's a dead man switch? Mr. Cross, did you just blackmail Congress? Ethan raised his hands. We're not hiding. Daniel leaned toward a nearby microphone, guards too slow to stop him. For the record, Daniel said smoothly, this is what institutional panic looks like. The crowd erupted. Alvarez swore under his breath, "Get him out of here." Too late. Daniel's words were already live. Night fell over D.C. like a held secret. They separated Daniel from them again, this time under heavy guard. Ethan and Lena were escorted to a federal guest residence, not quite a safe house, not quite freedom. Windows sealed, phones monitored, cameras everywhere. They sat on the edge of the bed in silence. I didn't think they'd try to bury it this fast, Ethan said. They always do. That's the real pattern. He looked at Lena. Daniel thinks this isn't enough. She nodded slowly. Because it isn't. Ethan's chest tightened. Then what is? She met his eyes. The part I never put in the ring. He froze. There's more? There's a witness, she said. Someone who signed the orders. Someone still alive. Ethan exhaled. You saved that card. I couldn't risk it leaking automatically. It needed context, testimony. And now? Now Daniel knows it exists. As if summoned, Ethan's phone vibrated. Unknown number. A video file appeared. Ethan opened it. A man sat bound to a chair, face bruised, eyes frantic. I did what they told me, the man said hoarsely. Please. Lena went pale. Oh no. Text beneath video. 24 hours. Bring me the witness or I bring him to the world dead. Ethan's hand shook. That man, Lena whispered, is the key. And Daniel has him, Ethan said. The clock on Ethan's phone ticked down. 594102. Outside, thunder rolled low over the city. Daniel wasn't done playing chess. He was playing for checkmate.
The deal you make with midnight. The storm broke just after midnight. Rain hammered the windows of the federal guest residence like it was trying to get in. Ethan stood there, staring out at the blur of lights and water, phone clenched in his hand. The video replayed in his mind on a loop. The bruised face, the shaking voice, the certainty that the man would be dead soon if they did nothing. Lena sat on the bed, knees drawn to her chest, staring at the floor. That man, she said quietly, his name is Robert Klein. Ethan turned. Who is he? He was a deputy director, she said. Not the top, just high enough to sign without asking too many questions. And he'll testify? If he lives, she said, and if he believes it'll matter. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. Daniel wants him, not the data. Yes, Lena said, because a witness can be discredited. Data can't be unseen. A knock came at the door, sharp, urgent. Agent Kim stepped inside, rain speckling her jacket. Alvarez followed, expression grim. You saw the video, Alvarez said. Ethan nodded. He's got a 24-hour clock. Less, Kim corrected. Daniel leaked a teaser, not the video, just enough to let people know something's coming. Lena looked up. So he's forcing our hand. Alvarez exhaled. We can't officially negotiate with him. Then don't, Ethan said. Let me. Kim's head snapped up. Absolutely not. He wants me, Ethan said. I'm the variable he can't predict. Alvarez studied him. You're not trained. I'm engaged with a problem, Ethan replied flatly. Silence. Finally, Alvarez nodded once. Unofficially, you were never here. They left before dawn. No lights, no sirens. Just a borrowed car, rain slicking the streets black and empty. Lena sat beside Ethan, silent, jaw tight. Where is he? Ethan asked. Baltimore, she said. Old shipyard. Daniel always liked places that looked abandoned. Ethan's phone buzzed again. Daniel, I was wondering when you'd stop pretending to be safe. Ethan typed back, I'm coming alone. 3 dots. Then, good. Bring the ring. Lena grabbed his wrist. No, he won't hurt Klein if he thinks he's getting what he wants, Ethan said. And after? She whispered. Ethan didn't answer. The shipyard smelled like rust and rain and old oil. Floodlights flickered, throwing long shadows across shipping containers stacked like tombstones. Daniel stood beneath a corrugated awning, coat dry, smile intact. "You made good time," he said. "Where is he?" Ethan demanded. Daniel gestured toward a nearby warehouse. "Alive, for now." Lena stepped out of the car before Ethan could stop her. Daniel's smile widened. "Ah, the other half. You said alone," Ethan snapped. "I said bring the ring. Details matter." Rain soaked Lena's hair as she stepped closer. "Let him go." Daniel tilted his head. "You're in no position to negotiate." Ethan pulled the ring box from his pocket. "This is what you want." Daniel's eyes gleamed. "Careful." Ethan opened the box, but didn't remove the ring. "This ring," Ethan said, voice steady despite the pounding rain, "ends everything if I take it off wrong." Daniel nodded. "Which is why you won't." "I will," Ethan said, "if you touch him." Daniel studied him for a long moment. Then he laughed. "You really did change, didn't you?" He snapped his fingers. The warehouse door creaked open. Robert Klein was shoved forward, wrists bound, face worse than in a video, but breathing. Lena gasped. "Release him," Ethan said. "Now." Daniel raised a brow. "You don't even know my price." Ethan slipped the ring off his finger. Every floodlight flickered. Lena screamed, "Ethan!" Daniel's smile vanished. "Put it back on." Ethan didn't. "My proposal wasn't a threat. This is." The ring grew hot in his hand. Daniel raised both palms. "Easy." He nodded once. A guard cut Klein's restraints. "Take him, but the ring stays." Ethan hesitated, then slid the ring back on his finger. The light steadied. Daniel exhaled. "Smart." Sirens wailed in the distance. Daniel stepped back into the shadows. "You've won the night. Tomorrow decides history." He vanished into the rain. They didn't stop driving until the sun was coming up. Klein sat in the back seat, shaking, alive. Lena stared at Ethan like she was seeing him for the first time. "You were willing to end everything," she said. Ethan nodded. "I was willing to choose." The clock ticked down. 33:18:44. They had 1 day left, one chance to finish this, and Daniel was still out there. The question that ends the countdown. The sun rose on Washington like it didn't know what was coming. Ethan stood on the steps of the courthouse, rain-soaked jacket drying stiff on his shoulders, watching reporters gather behind barricades. Vans lined the street, satellite dishes tilted skyward. Everyone could feel it. Something was about to break, and nobody wanted to miss the moment it did. Inside, Robert Klein sat between two agents, wrapped in a blanket, hands shaking but eyes clear. "He'll talk," Kim said quietly. "He's scared enough to tell the truth and brave enough to mean it." Lena exhaled, the kind of breath you take after holding one too long. "Then it ends today." Ethan looked at the ring. The countdown glowed on his phone. 064219. 6 hours. 6 hours before the truth escaped containment forever. Daniel hadn't contacted them again. That worried Ethan more than any threat. The hearing room was packed beyond capacity. Senators, journalists, observers flown in overnight. No recess this time. No quiet tunnels. Everything was live. Klein was sworn in first. His voice shook at the beginning, then steadied as he spoke. Names, dates, orders, the way signatures were passed down just far enough to keep the top clean. "This wasn't oversight," Klein said, eyes burning. "It was design." The room erupted. When Lena testified again, she didn't sound like a fugitive or a whistleblower. She sounded like history writing itself. Ethan watched her, heart tight, knowing this might be the last calm moment they shared. Then a commotion rippled through the gallery. Ethan felt it before he saw it. Daniel stood up. No cuffs, no guards close enough, smiling. "Apologies," Daniel said loudly, raising a hand, "but if we're telling the whole truth, I'd hate to be left out." Alvarez shouted, "Security!" Too late. Daniel leaned toward a live microphone. "I represent interested parties," he said smoothly, "and I can confirm everything you're hearing is accurate." Gasps filled the chamber. "But," Daniel continued, "there's context missing, context that could destabilize markets, alliances, and, if mishandled, cost lives." He looked directly at Ethan. "You still have time," Daniel said. "Call it off. Give them a version they can survive." Ethan stood. Every camera swung to him. "This ring," Ethan said, holding up his hand, "was supposed to be a promise between two people." Silence. It became something else because people decided the truth was too dangerous for ordinary lives. Daniel shook his head slowly. You're not thinking big enough. Ethan smiled faintly. I am. That's the problem. He turned to Lena. In front of the world, in front of history. Claire Hale, he said softly, voice carrying, will you still marry me, knowing this ends everything we had and starts something we can't control? Lena's breath caught. Tears spilled freely now. Yes, 1,000 times yes. Ethan pressed his thumb to the ring. Final authorization confirmed. The countdown vanished. Phones everywhere lit up. Servers unlocked. Truth poured out. Daniel stared at his own buzzing phone, smile gone at last. Well, that's inconvenient, he murmured. Agents moved in. This time, no one stopped them. By nightfall, resignations were announced. Markets reeled but held. Allies demanded answers. The world didn't end. It adjusted. Ethan and Lena stood on a quiet balcony overlooking the city, finally alone. You okay? Ethan asked. She nodded. We'll never be normal. He smiled faintly. I was never good at normal. She laughed softly, leaning into him. So, propose day? Ethan replied, worst timing imaginable. She looked at the ring, now just a ring again. Still, the best question I've ever answered. Below them, the city buzzed with the aftermath of truth. Above them, the future waited, uncertain, dangerous, honest. And for the first time since the countdown began, nothing was ticking anymore.